92 to like, although I'd surf here and there and this and that, I almost say from 92 to 97, I wasn't surfing that much.
Wow.
I mean, I would surf here, but it wasn't like, you know, from 13 to 17, boom, really into it, super committed. In between, surfing here and there, still had it, but just not.
Did you ever go to Rockaway during that time period when you were in like Brooklyn?
No.
I was curious.
No surfing. Some more skateboarding in that era too.
Yeah.
It was really a lot more skating. And then it was like, I say like 97, I really like made a mental commitment to get back more into surfing, and I started competing again and doing all that stuff. So there's a lot of little nuances along the way.
So what happened with like your faith in the Krishna belief over that time period, you know, and, you know, kind of curious, like, did you get disillusioned with it, or was it just you moved on to something else and just kind of next phase kind of thing?
My experience was positive.
Yeah.
With the Hare Krishna movement, which, you know, is just what they call it here. It's just a sect of, you know, it's in India, it's, you know, Vaishnavism, or the worship of Vishnu or Krishna. Mm-hmm. It's called Gaudiya Vaishnavism. That's the actual name. You know, there's a whole lineage, the parampara, which dates back. It's ancient. So it's not some new cult or like anything of that nature. No, it's an ancient religion. And, but that said, I mean, there were certain things that didn't and still don't, with that particular path, resonate with me. And, you know, a lot of the teachers or gurus I wasn't really, you know, taken back by or anything. So I just felt like, you know, a lot of my friends were getting initiated and taking these vows and making all these moves, I guess, in that lifestyle and world. And I wasn't feeling so prompt to do that. Like, I was just kind of like, you know, and I really just had a time where I just wanted to be, like, in my mind, a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
Really was what I felt like, you know, because I had, you know, been living this sort of different lifestyle and left a lot of people behind, you know, friends and things of that nature, and just kind of felt like, oh, this is really heavy. You know, it was heavy. It was very strict, that particular, you know, lineage is very strict, a lot of very strict rules, and just sort of, I don't want to say impractical, but impractical for me.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot there that is absolutely valuable that I still carry with me today. And then there's other things that for myself just were never going to make any sense. Mm-hmm. But that's just my, you know what I mean? And
of course.
But you know, for myself, my experience was good, and I gained a lot from that, and sort of still moves through me now, just in a different way. But it was time for me to move on, and I just kind of did what I said I wanted to do, become a normal person, you know. So at that time, you know, skateboarding.
You became the tastemaker of blades, man. Come on. Like,
focus, get my career, you know, like do that, and, you know, get into the surfing and those things. So yeah, that's what I did. I wanted to be a normal person, become the tastemaker.
You became more. You would dictate the norm in some ways. There you go. How's that? So like you, but there's but you have been following this kind of spiritual path all along. It feels like from what I've read and the things that you write about, and but it relates more to surfing in some ways, and obviously you practice yoga. That's a real big thing for you. I was reading up on your practice. I'm trying to find the name of the thing. I'm sorry. I totally.
Yeah. So it's I just had a little brain fart.
No.
The question.
Like the question is, I guess, like surfing. It feels like surfing has become is your religion in some ways, or that's been like kind of the surfing and your spirituality have become much more intertwined. Is that a fair
Sure.
assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, after, my involvement with the Hare Krishnas, I sort of, when I read, the books I want to read tend to be philosophical, spiritual, metaphysics, whatever. That's what I enjoy. I don't want to read a novel. I don't want to read. Those are the subjects I enjoy. So then I started to just read a lot, which I thought I was, culturing myself, but I definitely learned a lot from a lot of the things I read, and then sort of saw how they started to make sense in surfing for me. And then things started, even when my surfing started to change. My surfing was changing, my body was changing. I still have psoriasis, which is an autoimmune disease, but it also affects your joints and different things. So I was kind of dealing with, pain and different things. And that sort of led me into the realm of like even experimenting with different boards and things at that time, like 2004, 5, 6.
Mm-hmm.
With the autoimmune stuff, and it wasn't even like oh, I'm gonna ride these different boards. It was almost like a necessity at the time. But then my surfing started to change, and then I started to change, and it's all, to me, it's all one thing. The surfing is an expression of what's happening on the inside. How you're surfing. When I was young, I wanted to, be radical. So, that was trying like, the airs of, back then, the way we did them, are nothing like what the guys do now, and just, surfing is, big hacks, whatever you want to do, Now I'm sort of in a different place with my surfing, and it's, my mental place, my physical place, my spiritual place, like where I'm at.
Yeah.
My surfing sort of reflects that. And, it's hard to put into words, but I mean, I think anyone who surfs, that experience of, getting up, for sunrise, in the winter, putting on a 5-mil wetsuit, boots, gloves, the whole deal, getting in the water, seeing that sunrise, riding the waves, the winds, the clouds, everything that's happening. If at some point you're not having like an awe, sort of humble, awestruck moment, I don't know what the hell you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like for everyone who surfs, they've at least had that once, most likely multiple times.
Yeah.
And I think, for myself, that started to be more my experience of what we would call spiritual, was just sort of the regular, these things that happen every day that we, at some point in our life, we begin to take for granted. The sunrise, the sunset, the this, the that, as a kid, everything's amazing, then things, we're captivated by so many other things, sort of these natural phenomena becomes less.
Yeah.
But, through surfing, I think surfing continued to nurture sort of the amazingness of nature. And I feel like it's it's in nature that I can have a practical connection with whatever you want to call it,
The force, of
know.
course.
Yeah, the force. Let's call it the force. Exactly. Well, yeah.
Duh.
It's like
Might as well
yeah,
keep it on theme here,
yeah. So that's how I connect with the force. You're a nerd. I'm a nerd, man. Huh?
Well,
Yeah.
well, I always find I love the fact that, and I love talking about like how surfing evolves as you get older and your relationship to it. It means something at different phases in your life, and it's almost like surfing kind of. It's almost like as we get older, maybe we assign more meaning to it. It's almost like in Japan, in practice in Japan, like I'm sure when they started making tea and all that, it wasn't the ceremony that it was, and everything didn't have to be perfect. It started out as just a menial task, and as you do it longer and longer, and over time, it takes on an artistry, meaning, spiritual significance. Because you do it so much over
Sure.
that time, you start to view it differently. When we were kids, you're like, you want to shred, tear, and win contests and throw tail.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Which is
Which is
great
all
too,
great.
because that's what's one of the things that is so great about surfing, is that it can ride all the different sort of places that you go in your life. From being young, just a kid, not even a teen, and then your teen, angsty, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. And there's such an arc there. Now, you see the surf media like definitely is catching up to surfing. Like, so when we were young, so youth focused that I thought surfing was just like in this little bubble of this certain age, and this was it, and everything else happening outside of that was corny or kooky or bullshit, or now as I get older, surfing is something I want to do as long as I can.
Yeah.
What a blessing to be able to surf your whole life, and you start to view it different. Maybe you just get older and then you're becoming a kook or whatever, but it's not. So to me, a kook, like, it's funny that word kook, but like when I think of kooks, I think of dudes that are like overly aggressive and jockey. That's a kook to me. Like, I'm like, you can't surfing good. Like, it's just like, man, like, you're killing the vibe, like, but then I can laugh at it, because at one point in time I was that dude, like, power,
Yeah.
and I could even I want to get waves, I'm paddling, but it's like the older I get, the less I need of like how many waves or even how long of a session.
It's starting to sound like Nat Young in Shelter all of a sudden.
But it's true. But it's
right.
True. Because I got dudes I know that are in their 20s that are bugging out because it's been flat for not even 2 weeks, and I'm like, like, I'm doing other shit.
We got
waves. There's waves. Yeah, I'll surf, and I don't need to surf all fucking day anymore. I'm going to be 47. Like, 2 hours, 3 hours of good surf. That's good in the winter. I'm good.
Oh, if I can get a session in, like if I can get a session in like a 2-week period, I'm stoked, in the winter. Yeah. Like, you can't.
Passed a lot of days. When I see it, I'm like, it's not that good. Or it's a little, I'm like, oh.
You, well, it's interesting. You cited like Tom Blake as like an influential surfer on you, or historical, and I've been going into like a lot of deep dives on Tom Blake lately. I've just been really, I don't know, maybe I'm just at a certain period in my life too, where I'm like trying to reassess my relationship with surfing and looking for a deeper meaning with it. And so reading Tom Blake is an incredible, way to start to see surfing that way. I mean, nature equals God, and I'm kind of curious, like, how you kind of discovered him, or how you came upon some of his stuff, and why he means so much to you.
I mean, I think it was like, I didn't know who Tom Blake was when I was younger, or even in my 20s. It was sort of through I started looking for alternative sort of film, surf films and media, because I love, I've always loved